the beginning of the story. A family of orca whales is happily swimming through the deep blue Pacific Ocean. They play together, jump out of the water, and enjoy their peaceful life. But their happy moment does not last long. A large whaling ship suddenly appears nearby. The sailors quickly notice the whales and lower a small hunting boat into the ocean. They spread a huge fishing net and chase one of the orcas. The whale tries its best to escape, but it gets trapped inside the net. Its family can do nothing except watch in fear before swimming away to save themselves. The captured orca is taken away, separated from its family forever. A few months later, the story moves to Portland. Here, we meet a young orphan boy named Jesse. He lives on the streets with 3 other orphan kids. Instead of going to school or living with a family, they spend their days trying to survive on their own. One day, they visit a museum and secretly ask visitors for money. After collecting a few dollars, they quickly run away before anyone notices them. With the money, they buy a birthday cake and happily share it together. Even though they have very little, they still find small reasons to celebrate and enjoy each other's company. Later, the 4 friends hide inside a skate park. While sitting there, they talk about their sad lives. They remember how their parents left them behind and how they all ran away from the orphanage because they wanted to be free. Their peaceful conversation suddenly ends when a police car arrives. The kids panic and immediately start running in different directions. They split up to make it harder for the police to catch them. Jesse and his friend Perry run toward an old water park warehouse, hoping they can hide there until the police leave. Inside the warehouse, the boys begin looking around. Since nobody is there, they start spraying graffiti on the walls just for fun. While exploring the dark building, Jesse suddenly hears a strange sound coming from behind a large glass window. At that exact moment, lightning flashes across the sky. For a second, the bright light reveals the shape of a giant creature behind the glass. Jesse becomes terrified. He thinks he has just seen a real sea monster and quickly runs away in fear. But after calming down, his curiosity takes over. He slowly walks back to the window and looks inside again. This time, he realizes it is not a monster at all. It is a huge orca whale swimming inside a giant water tank. Jesse has never seen such a beautiful animal before. He stands there quietly, completely amazed by the whale. Before he can spend more time with it, he hears police officers entering the building. He tries to escape once again, but this time he is caught. The next morning, Jesse is taken to the child welfare department. A worker named Dwight is already frustrated with Jesse because of all the trouble he has caused over the years. As punishment for spraying graffiti, Jesse is ordered to return to the water park and clean every wall he painted. Dwight also warns him that if he refuses to do the work, his case will be sent to juvenile court, which could make his life much worse. Then Dwight gives Jesse another important piece of news. He tells him that a kind couple, Glenn Greenwood and Annie Greenwood, have agreed to adopt him and give him a real home. But Jesse is not happy about the idea. Instead of thinking about a new family, he only wants one answer. He wants to know where his real mother is and why she left him behind. Sadly, Dwight tells him that no one has heard anything about Jesse's mother for the last 6 years. He gently tells the boy that it is time to stop waiting and give his new family a chance. A few hours later, Dwight takes Jesse to meet Glenn and Annie. The couple welcomes him with warm smiles and treats him with kindness. But Jesse keeps his distance. He barely talks to them and acts cold because he does not want to get close to anyone. After dinner, Glenn and Annie show Jesse his new bedroom. They tell him to take his time and make himself feel comfortable before leaving him alone. Later that night, Jesse opens his backpack, takes out his old harmonica, and quietly starts playing it. It is one of the few things that still makes him feel calm. The next morning, Glenn surprises Jesse with a bicycle. Then he drops him off at the water park so he can finish cleaning the graffiti. When Jesse arrives, he is told to find a worker named Randolph. He soon finds Randolph living in a small house near the sea. Randolph takes Jesse to the huge whale tank where the graffiti is still on the glass. He hands Jesse a bucket of water, soap, and a sponge and tells him to start cleaning. Jesse has no choice. He quietly begins scrubbing the walls. While working, he looks through the glass and sees the giant orca again. He cannot stop thinking about the beautiful whale. Curious, Jesse walks outside to get a better look. For a few moments, the water stays completely still. Then, without warning, the giant orca suddenly bursts out of the water right beside him. Jesse is shocked, but he cannot take his eyes off the whale. Randolph quickly notices Jesse standing too close to the tank. He warns the boy to be careful because the orca, named Willy, is not friendly. According to Randolph, Willy does not like people and can become dangerous if someone bothers him. Even after hearing the warning, Jesse's interest in Willy only grows stronger. As the days pass, he keeps thinking about the lonely whale. One morning, after almost finishing his cleaning, music work, Jesse takes out his harmonica. He stands near the tank and starts playing a soft tune. Something unexpected happens. Willy hears the music and slowly swims closer. The sound seems to make the giant whale happy. Jesse smiles and decides to play another song. This time, Willy becomes even more excited. The whale begins moving around the tank and happily responds to every note. At that moment, a special friendship starts to grow between the lonely boy and the lonely orca. They enjoy the moment so much that Willy suddenly leaps high out of the water. A huge wave splashes across the area and soaks everyone nearby. Even Ray, the marine animal trainer, gets completely wet. Instead of getting angry, Ray laughs. As she watches Jesse and Willy together, she realizes they are very similar. Both of them are smart, stubborn, and do not trust people easily. Because of this, Ray believes Jesse might be the only person who can truly connect with Willy. She decides to let Jesse help with Willy's training. His first job is simple. He has to learn how to choose the right fish that Willy can safely eat. That night, Jesse quietly climbs out of his bedroom window and rides back to the water park. He stands beside the tank and starts playing his harmonica again. The soft music fills the quiet night. A few moments later, Jesse hears someone coming. He quickly tries to hide, but while stepping back, he slips on the wet edge of the tank and falls straight into the water. Jesse cannot swim very well, and he starts sinking. Willy notices him immediately. For a second, it looks like the giant orca is swimming straight toward him. But instead of attacking, Willy gently pushes Jesse upward with his nose and helps him reach the side of the tank. Jesse finally climbs out of the water, breathing heavily. He looks at Willy with a big smile and thanks him for saving his life. A little later, Randolph arrives after hearing about the accident. He checks if Jesse is hurt, but he is even more surprised by something else. Willy had every chance to attack the boy, yet he chose to save him instead. Jesse proudly tells Randolph that he and Willy are friends now. He also says he came to say goodbye because his punishment is almost over, and he will not have a reason to visit the park anymore. Randolph sees how much the two care about each other. At that moment, he comes up with an idea. He takes Jesse back home, where Glenn and Annie have been worried sick because Jesse disappeared again. Randolph explains everything that happened at the park. Then he makes an unexpected offer. He asks if Jesse would like to work at the park and help take care of Willy every day. Jesse accepts the offer without thinking twice. Glenn and Annie also agree, but they ask Jesse to make one promise. He must never run away from home again. Jesse promises that he will stay. The next morning, he happily rides his bicycle to the water park. As soon as he arrives, he hears Willy making loud sounds, but something feels wrong. The sounds almost seem like cries for help. Jesse runs toward the tank and sees workers pulling Willy with a large net so an examiner can inspect him. Ray does not like what she sees. She argues that the park is not the right place for such an examination. She knows the net is making Willy scared, stressed, and angry. But the park manager, Wade, does not care. He simply orders the examiner to finish the job. Jesse cannot stand watching his friends suffer. Without anyone noticing, he quietly unties the ropes holding the net. The net loosens and Willy quickly escapes back into the water. Jesse smiles with relief after seeing his friend safe again. He thinks no one noticed what he did, but Randolph saw everything. Instead of scolding Jesse, he praises him for caring so much about Willy. Later, Jesse visits a fish market near the harbor. He wants to buy a special fish as a gift for Willy. While walking through the market, he unexpectedly meets his old friend Perry. Perry tells Jesse that he is now working for a local criminal. Then he asks Jesse to leave his adoptive family and join him again. Jesse does not give him an answer. He simply says he will think about it. Right now, the only thing on his mind is going back to see Willy. When Jesse reaches the park, he throws one of the fish into the water, but Willy does not eat it. Instead, the giant orca close to Jesse and waits. It almost looks like Willy wants Jesse to feed him by hand. Jesse laughs and carefully holds out the fish. He jokingly tells Willy not to bite his hand. Willy gently takes the fish without hurting him at all. Seeing how calm the whale is, Jesse slowly reaches out and touches Willy for the first time. Willy stays perfectly still and happily accepts the gentle touch. It is clear that the whale trusts Jesse more than anyone else at the park. After spending some time together, Jesse says he has to leave, but Willy does not want him to go. The giant whale starts following Jesse along the edge of the tank. Then Willy begins copying Jesse's movements. Jesse lifts his arms and Willy copies him. He waves again and Willy does the same. The two play together like best friends. From a distance, Randolph watches everything with a smile. He calls Ray over to see it with her own eyes. Ray is amazed by the incredible bond between the lonely boy and the lonely whale. She realizes this friendship is something very special. She also believes it could make Willy the biggest attraction in the entire park because the whale only feels relaxed when Jessie is nearby. Later, Ray sits down with Jessie and explains something important. She tells him that Willy does not trust her anymore because she examined him without the proper equipment. Since that day, the whale has become nervous and hostile whenever she gets too close. Ray also explains that Willy's tank is far too small. If he wants to live a happy and healthy life, he needs a much bigger home. The problem is that the park owner, Mr. Dial, does not care about the animals. The only thing he cares about is making money. Ray says there is only one way to convince him to build a larger tank. Willy must become so popular that he starts bringing more visitors to the park. Jessie agrees to help without any hesitation. Together with Ray, he starts training Willy so the giant orca can become the park's biggest star. Training begins right away. Ray teaches Jessie how to use a long stick to guide Willy's movements. She also explains that every time Willy performs a trick correctly, he should receive a fish as a reward. This helps the whale understand what he is supposed to do. At the same time, Randolph teaches Jessie something completely different. He gives the boy an old book filled with stories from his tribe, the Haida people. One story catches Jessie's attention. Long ago, a Haida warrior named Natan became lost in the middle of the sea. He found a large tree trunk and carved it into the shape of a giant sea creature to make a boat. Before putting it into the water, he said a special prayer that had been passed down by his ancestors. According to the legend, the wooden boat suddenly came to life and turned into the very first orca. Jessie is fascinated by the story. When he gets home, he excitedly tells Annie everything he learned. As they spend more time together, Jessie slowly begins to trust Annie and grow closer to her. Over the following days, Jessie and Willy's friendship becomes even stronger. Every day, Jessie teaches Willy new tricks. He also brings fresh fish from the market and helps Ray and Randolph during every training session. But every night, something strange happens. Willy starts making long, sad calls that echo through the park. It sounds like he is searching for someone. Jessie cannot understand why his friend seems so lonely. Still, there is no time to think about it because they must prepare for an important performance in front of the park owner. The training becomes more difficult. Jessie teaches Willy to jump higher than ever before. Then they practice spinning in the water and moving his fins on command. As their trust grows stronger, Jessie does something no one else has ever dared to do. He climbs into the tank and sits on Willy's back. The giant orca gently carries Jessie around the pool. It is an incredible moment that shows just how much the whale trusts him. When the ride is over, Jessie praises Willy and gently rubs the whale's tongue. Ray had told him that this is Willy's favorite place to be touched, and the whale clearly enjoys it. After work, Jessie rides his bicycle to Glenn's workplace. He is carrying the dinner that Annie prepared for her husband. While waiting, Jessie looks around the office. He notices several family photographs on the wall. One picture surprises him. He sees a photo of himself placed beside Annie's picture. For the first time, Jessie realizes that Glenn and Annie truly see him as part of their family. Then he notices another photograph showing Glenn with his own mother. Sadly, Glenn tells Jessie that she passed away a long time ago. That conversation reminds Jessie of his own mother. Deep inside, he still believes she will return one day and take him back. Glenn gently tells Jessie not to keep waiting. According to the adoption center, no one has heard from his mother in many years. Those words make Jessie very angry. To him, it sounds just like what Dwight said before. He feels that nobody believes his mother will ever come back. Upset and heartbroken, Jessie jumps on his bicycle and rides away into the heavy rain. Glenn and Annie become extremely worried as they wait for him to return. Sometime later, Jessie finally comes back home. His adoptive parents ask where he has been and why he ran away again, but Jessie refuses to explain. He only says that none of it matters because he will not be staying with them forever. His words leave everyone feeling hurt. Glenn starts wondering if bringing Jessie into their home was the right decision. Annie is upset by what she hears because she truly cares about the boy. Jessie quietly returns to his bedroom. There, he notices a gift that Glenn and Annie left for him. Inside the box is a brand new baseball. Jessie decides to go downstairs and thank them. But before he can enter the room, he overhears Glenn saying that life would have been easier if it were just him and Annie. Those words break Jessie's heart. In a burst of anger, he throws the baseball straight through his bedroom window. The loud crash brings Glenn and Annie running upstairs. Jessie quickly says that he got scared because they were arguing. Realizing how badly his words hurt the boy, Glenn sincerely apologizes. He tells Jesse that no matter what happens, he is now an important part of their family. Hearing those words helps everyone calm down. Little by little, peace returns to the house. The next morning, Jesse visits the fish market once again and buys fresh fish for Willy, but as soon as he reaches the water park, someone unexpected shows up. It is Perry. Once again, Perry asks Jesse to leave everything behind and join his gang. But Jesse is no longer the same boy. He has found a real family and a true friend. So this time he firmly refuses the offer. Perry walks away, and Jesse happily returns to training with Willy. Soon, the big day finally arrives. It is time to perform in front of the park owner. The owner sits in the audience waiting to see if Willy is worth the investment. Jesse gives Willy the signals they practice together. Willy performs one trick after another. He swims upside down. He sprays water whenever Jesse asks. He even climbs partly out of the tank and slips back into the water. With perfect timing. Everyone watching is amazed. The performance is such a success that the park owner finally agrees to build Willy a much larger tank. A few days later, the park announced a huge public show. This time, Willy will be the main attraction. On the day of the event, the park is completely full. Hundreds of people gather around the tank. The crowd cheers loudly. Children shout with excitement and cameras flash everywhere. But something is wrong. Instead of looking excited, Willy seems nervous and uncomfortable. The loud noise and the huge crowd make him feel stressed. Neither Ray nor Jesse understands what is happening. They finish their final preparations, believing everything will be fine. Then the show begins. Ray introduces Willy to the audience and asks Jesse to start the performance. Jesse gives the first signal, but Willy does not respond. Jesse tries again. Still nothing. Instead of doing tricks, Willy lets out long, sad cries. Everyone around the tank becomes confused. Jesse keeps asking Willy to perform because he knows this show could give his friend a better home, but Willy simply swims around the pool without listening. The audience quickly loses patience. People begin booing and complaining. Jesse feels embarrassed and heartbroken. Then the situation suddenly becomes much worse. Some children standing near the glass catch Willy's attention. Overwhelmed by all the noise, the frightened whale charges toward the glass wall. The powerful impact shakes the entire tank. Cracks begin spreading across the glass. Panic instantly breaks out. Visitors scream and run in every direction trying to escape. The park falls into complete chaos. After everything is over, Jesse blames himself for the disaster. Filled with anger and sadness, he leaves the park. He pushes away everyone who tries to comfort him. Glenn and Annie come to support him, but Jesse refuses to listen. Even Dwight, who came to watch the show, tries to encourage him, but Jesse shuts everyone out. In his pain, he says he is going to leave his adoptive family and search for his real mother. Dwight tries one last time to make him accept the truth. He tells Jesse that his mother abandoned him years ago and never came back. As painful as it is, Dwight believes she is never returning. But Jesse cannot accept those words. Without saying anything else, he walks away. Later that night, Jesse sits alone in his room. He cannot stop thinking about Willy. He knows something caused the whale to act that way. Ignoring the promise he made to Glenn and Annie, Jesse quietly sneaks out of the house and rides back to the water park. When he reaches Willy's tank, he is still upset that the performance failed. But deep inside, he believes Willy had a reason for refusing to perform. Determined to find the truth, Jesse climbs to a high platform near the tank. From there, he looks beyond the park toward the open ocean. Suddenly, he hears distant whale calls. Looking carefully, Jesse sees a group of orcas swimming in the sea outside the park. They are calling out to Willy. At that moment, everything became clear. Willy was not being stubborn. He was crying because he could hear his real family, and they were searching for him. Jesse realizes that keeping Willy trapped inside the park is completely wrong. The whale belongs with his family in the open ocean. But before Jesse can think of a way to help, something even more terrible happens. He hears the voice of the park manager, Wade, coming from below the tank. Jesse quietly follows him. To his shock, he sees Wade and several workers removing damaged parts of the tank. Water immediately starts pouring out through the opening. The tank begins emptying very quickly. If the water keeps leaking, Willy will not survive. Terrified, Jesse races to Randolph's house and tells him everything. After hearing the story and seeing the damage, Randolph quickly understands what is happening. He believes Wade is acting on orders from the park owner. Their plan is simple but cruel. Instead of saving Willy, they want him to die so they can collect the $1 million insurance money. They know they must act immediately, but repairing the tank is impossible. There is only one way to save Willy. They have to take him back to the ocean. The plan is risky, They Willis the park's crane and a large stretcher to lift Willy out of the tank, place him on a trailer, and drive him to the sea. Randolph agrees without hesitation. A little later, Ray arrives. Even though she knows she could lose her job, she decides to help save Willy. First, Ray turns on the water pumps to slow down the drop in the water level. Meanwhile, Randolph gets the crane ready. Jesse calls Willy toward the large stretcher. Trusting his best friend, Willy slowly swims into position. But before they can finish, the cracked glass can no longer handle the pressure. The crack grows larger and water starts pouring out even faster. There is no time left. Without thinking twice, Jesse jumps into the tank. He carefully guides Willy onto the stretcher. After a long struggle, Willy finally settles into the correct position. Jesse quickly ties the ropes around the stretcher. Randolph activates the crane, and the giant orca is slowly lifted out of the tank. The first part of their rescue plan is complete. Now they must get Willy to the ocean. Jesse secretly takes Randolph to Glenn's truck. Without asking permission, they borrow it for the rescue. Using the crane, they carefully place Willy and the stretcher onto a trailer and attach it to the truck. Then they begin the dangerous journey through the forest toward the sea. After driving for a while, they suddenly find a huge fallen tree blocking the road. They try reversing, but the heavy truck sinks into the soft ground. The wheels become completely stuck. The rescue comes to a stop. Jesse realizes they cannot do this alone. He picks up the truck's radio and tries to contact Glenn. Luckily, Glenn and Annie have already discovered that Jesse ran away again. They have been searching everywhere with help from the local police. The sheriff hears Jesse's message and tells Glenn where to find him. Soon, Glenn and Annie arrive at the scene. Jesse begs them to help save Willy. Without wasting a second, Glenn agrees. He tells Randolph to attach a chain between the two vehicles. Then Glenn pulls the truck free. Watching Glenn risk everything to help Willy makes Jesse realize how much his adoptive father truly loves him. For the very first time, Jesse hugs Glenn with real love and gratitude. It is a beautiful moment that brings them even closer as a family. With the truck finally free, the rescue continues. As they drive, Jesse notices that Willy's skin is becoming dry. The sun will soon rise and the whale cannot stay out of the water much longer. Glenn quickly comes up with an idea. They stop at a nearby car wash. Using the large water hoses, everyone sprays Willy with fresh water to keep him wet and alive for the rest of the trip. Finally, they reach the entrance to the harbor. Freedom is only a few steps away. But then the park owner, Mr. Dial, arrives with several armed workers and blocks the road. He refuses to let Willy escape because he does not want to lose his investment. Glenn refuses to back down. He steps on the gas and drives straight toward them. At the last second, the men jump out of the way. Glenn keeps going until the truck reaches the water. Then he backs the trailer into the sea. At last, Willy slides back into the ocean. Everyone cheers, but Jesse quickly notices something is wrong. Willy is exhausted after the long journey. He barely has the strength to swim. At the same time, Dial's men rush forward to stop them. A fight breaks out. Ray, Randolph, and Glenn work together, throwing punches and kicks to hold the men back. While they keep the villains busy, Jesse stays beside Willy. He keeps encouraging his friend not to give up. After a few tense moments, Willy slowly regains his strength and begins swimming toward the open sea. But one final danger appears. Two whaling boats suddenly move into his path. They spread huge nets across the water, trapping the only safe way forward. Jesse immediately understands the danger. If Willy swims into those nets, he will be captured all over again. Thinking quickly, Jesse runs toward a large rock barrier near the shore. He waves his arms, calling Willy to follow him instead. Willy trusts Jesse completely and swims in his direction. Now Jesse knows this is the moment they must say goodbye. He wants to give his best friend one final memory. Jesse teaches Willy one last trick. He points toward the giant rock standing between the harbor and the open ocean. Then Jesse raises his hands and repeats the ancient Haida prayer that Randolph once taught him. As if he understands every word, Willy gathers all of his remaining strength. With one incredible leap, the giant orca soars high through the air. He clears the entire rock barrier in one breathtaking jump. A second later, he lands safely in the open ocean. At last, Willy is free. He swims toward his family, and together they disappear into the endless sea where they truly belong. Jesse watches them with tears in his eyes. Saying goodbye to his best friend is painful, but he knows that real friendship means wanting the other person to be happy, even if it means letting them go. As Willy disappears into the ocean with his family, Jesse quietly says goodbye to the best friend he has ever had. And with that emotional farewell, the story comes to an unforgettable end.